If you're scared of Jesus telling you, depart from me, for I never knew you, I want you to listen to me real quick, because this is a verse that scares a ton of Christians, but it actually should be comforting to Christians. You want to know why? Because Jesus says, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father who's in heaven. On that day, many will say to me, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and cast out demons in your name, and do many mighty works in your name? And then will I declare to them, I never knew you, depart from me, you workers of lawlessness. So many of us hear this verse and it's like, oh my gosh, Jesus is going to say this to me because I sinned again. And it's like, no. Pay attention to what Jesus says in the first verse. He says, not everyone who says, Lord, Lord, will enter heaven, but the one who does the will of the Father will enter heaven. So we hear that and it's like, what's the will of the Father? Do I need to stop sinning as much? Do I need to do this and this and this? Do I need to serve in church more? Do I need to forgive others more? Like what's the will of the Father that I need to do to get into heaven? Well, Jesus answers us in John chapter 6, verse 40. Jesus says it's the will of the Father that everyone who looks on the Son and believes in him has everlasting life, has eternal life. The will of the Father is that everyone who believes in Jesus lives forever. So how would Jesus be telling believers here, depart from me, for I never knew you. You're a worker of lawlessness, when the will of the Father is that everyone who believes in Jesus enters heaven? He's not talking to true believers here. He's talking to false believers here. You know, I know this because Paul says in Romans that by Adam's act of disobedience, Adam's sin in Genesis, all were made sinners, but by Jesus' act of obedience, many will be made righteous. Well, how are we made righteous? Paul shows us that in Genesis, it says that Abraham's faith was counted to him as righteousness. We are made righteous by our faith. And that's why Paul says in 2 Corinthians 5 that God made him, Jesus, who knew no sin, to know sin, so that through him we could become God's righteousness. This verse shouldn't scare you because Jesus says that it is the will of the Father that everyone who believes in him will live with God forever in heaven. This verse shouldn't scare you. It should comfort you because all who believe in Jesus will be saved. Just remember that everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved.